I was 16 years old when my grandpa died. It was early winter, the kind where the air feels heavy and silent. The hospital rooms smelled like medicine and cold metal. Machines beeped softly while my grandpa lay on the bed, thin and weak, but still holding my hand tightly. My name is Ryan Miller. I was born and raised in a small town in Ohio. After my mother passed away when I was 8, my grandpa became my safe place. While my father was always busy with his new wife and their perfect family, Grandpa was the only one who truly listened to me. That day, when everyone else stepped outside the room, Grandpa slowly reached under his pillow and pulled out a small brown notebook. It looked old. The edges were torn and the cover was faded. He placed it in my hands. "Don't open this here," he whispered weakly. "Read it when you're alone, and whatever you find inside, be brave." Before I could ask anything, the nurse entered and the moment was gone. A few hours later, he was gone too. At the funeral, people cried, hugged, and talked about memories. I stood quietly near the back, holding that notebook inside my jacket. It felt heavier than it looked, like it carried something important, something dangerous. When I got home that evening, my father barely spoke to me. My stepmother acted polite in front of relatives, but cold when we were alone. I went to my room, locked the door, sat on my bed, and finally opened the notebook. The first page wasn't written in Grandpa's handwriting. It was my mother's. My heart started beating fast. The date at the top said it was written 2 weeks before she died. The words were shaky, like she had been crying while writing. "If you are reading this, it means I'm probably gone. I don't trust the people around me. Please protect Ryan. There are things about his father and his new wife that he must never know until the right time." My hands began to shake. I kept reading. Page after page talked about arguments, hidden money, secret documents, and how my mother feared something bad was going to happen. She wrote about overhearing my father and stepmother discussing insurance, property, and getting rid of problems. Tears blurred my eyes. I closed the notebook and stared at the wall. Nothing made sense. My mother's death was called an accident, but these pages, they didn't feel like an accident. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound in the house felt louder. Every shadow looked suspicious. I hid the notebook inside my school bag and pushed it under my bed. The next morning, something strange happened. My stepmother came into my room without knocking. Her eyes went straight at my backpack. "Did your grandpa give you anything?" she asked casually. My heart dropped. I forced a smile. "No," I said, "just his watch." She stared at me for some seconds longer than normal, then nodded and walked away. That's when I realized this notebook wasn't just a memory. It was a secret, and someone in that house was afraid of it. For the next few days, I lived like a stranger in my own house. I spoke less. I listened more. Every time my stepmother walked past my room, I felt nervous. Every time my father looked at me, I wondered if he knew what I had already read. The notebook stayed hidden inside my school locker now. I didn't trust keeping it at home anymore. One evening, after dinner, I pretended to be asleep and quietly listened from my room. My stepmother's voice drifted from the living room. "He was very close to that old man," she said. My father replied, "You think the kid knows something?" My heart started pounding. "I don't know," she said, "but I saw the way he looked at his bag. We need to be careful." I covered my mouth with my hand. They were talking about me. That night, I took the notebook out at school and continued reading. Grandpa had added his own notes after my mother's last entry. His handwriting was shaky but clear. He wrote that my mother had discovered illegal transfers of money and property under my father's name. He also wrote that she suspected her accident was planned, not directly caused but arranged through dangerous negligence. One page made my blood run cold. If anything happens to me, the truth is in this notebook. Ryan is the rightful owner of the land and savings his mother left behind. They tried to hide it. They failed. I felt dizzy. My whole life suddenly felt like a lie. All those years when my stepmother treated me coldly, all those times my father ignored me, all those moments I felt unwanted. It wasn't just emotional, it was intentional. They wanted me weak, quiet, unaware. I decided to make copies. I scanned every page using the school computer and saved them on a secure email account I created secretly. I also printed 2 copies and hid them in different places. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just a scared kid, I was protecting myself. But danger came sooner than I expected. One afternoon, when I returned home, my room was messy, my drawers were open, my bag was moved. Someone had searched my things. I stood frozen. Then I saw it. My small metal box was missing, the box that used to hold Grandpa's watch. My stepmother was sitting calmly in the living room when I came downstairs. "Your room was messy," she said with fake sweetness. "I cleaned it." I nodded slowly. That night, I didn't sleep at home. I stayed at my best friend Alex's house and told him everything. His parents contacted a local legal advisor they trusted. The next day, I met with a lawyer. After reviewing the notebook and documents, he looked at me seriously. "This is strong evidence, very strong, and dangerous." Dangerous. That word stayed in my mind, because now I understood something clearly. This wasn't just about inheritance, this was about truth, and people who hide the truth will do anything to keep it buried. I never planned to confront them face to face, but life forced my hand. 2 weeks after Grandpa's funeral, the lawyer called me early in the morning. "They're trying to sell the land today," he said. "If we don't act now, it's gone." My hands started shaking. That land wasn't just property, it was my mother's last security for me. It was the proof that she had planned for my future, and that someone had tried to steal it. We went straight to the local registry office. When I walked inside, I saw them. My father, my stepmother, sitting confidently with documents on the table. They didn't expect to see me. My stepmother's face turned pale. My father stood up slowly. "Ryan, what are you doing here?" I didn't answer him. The lawyer stepped forward and placed copies of the notebook pages and property documents on the desk. "These assets belong to Ryan Miller," he said calmly. "Any attempt to sell them without his legal consent is invalid." Silence filled the room. My stepmother's hands started trembling. My father looked at the papers, then at me, then back at the papers again. "You went through old nonsense," my father snapped. "That notebook means nothing." I finally spoke. "It means everything," I said quietly. "Mom tried to protect me. Grandpa finished what she started." My voice didn't shake this time. The officer at the desk reviewed the documents and shook his head. "The sale is canceled. This case may require further investigation." My stepmother stood up suddenly. "You ungrateful child! After everything we did for you." I looked at her calmly. "You didn't raise me. You controlled me." That moment changed everything. The legal process took months. Investigations were opened. Hidden accounts were discovered. Property transfers were reversed. The truth slowly came into the light. My father stopped calling me his son, but I stopped needing his approval. I moved in with my aunt and focused on school. With the help of the inheritance that was rightfully mine, I paid for my education and built a stable future. One evening, months later,
I sat alone in my room, holding Grandpa's notebook again. I flipped to the last page. He had written one final line. "The truth is heavy, but it will set you free." Tears rolled down my face, not from sadness anymore, but from relief. I wasn't a forgotten child. I wasn't powerless. I was protected by the love of two people who never gave up on me, even after death. And that notebook wasn't just paper.